The conference room had that expensive, airless quiet that made people sit straighter. Floor-to-ceiling glass, a long walnut table, a skyline you were supposed to be impressed by. Harper Nguyen slid a thin binder across the table toward Adrian Cole, CEO of Riddle Industries, then folded her hands to keep from tapping the pen she hadn't brought. Northline Components, she began. On paper, a clean supplier. In practice, there's a related party interest that touches you. Adrian's gaze didn't move from the binder. Touches how? Through a discretionary trust your cousin manages, Harper said, crisp but not sharp. The trust holds a minority stake in Harbor Point Capital, which owns a sliver of Northline. It's indirect, but it's there. Under our policy and Delaware case law, that's a conflict. You need to recuse from approval and downstream oversight. At the far end, Bianca Sloan, outside counsel, flawless navy suit, flawless smile, tilted her head like a metronome. With respect, Harper, that chain is attenuated. We can waive with disclosure to the board. No need to paralyze operations over a distance like that. Harper kept her eyes on Adrian. We don't paralyze. We document. You step back from the vote. We put an independent subcommittee on it. Procurement runs its process without your thumb on the scale. Bianca's smile didn't move. And how long, in your view, does the market wait for us while we perform this civic ritual? Adrian flipped the binder open. The first page was a one-pager. Recusal memo Northline. Bullet points, citations, a diagram of the trust chain in Harper's tight block print. He read silently for a moment, the way people read when they've already guessed the ending. Northline is our quarter, Bianca said lightly, as if reminding a child. We promised the street an efficiency lift. Their pricing beats our current vendor by 7%, and the logistics window is half. We've done deals like this: disclose, proceed, audit later. And we've also, Harper said, watched companies blow up because audit later became never. There's another issue. She slid a second sheet out. A side letter that wasn't in the first packet. Bianca didn't blink. Volume incentive, she said, before she'd looked. Industry standard. It reads like a rebate payable to a conduit that doesn't sit on Northlines.org chart, Harper said. That's a kickback risk if you squint from the wrong angle, say. The angle an ag's office likes. Bianca's tone cooled by half a degree. You're new. You haven't seen market practice at scale. Harper let the remark fall. She turned another page. I have seen juries. They like simple stories. CEO's cousin profits indirectly is simple. Secret price adjustment is simple. You can argue every nuance and still lose the room. She looked back to Adrian. I'm not saying walk away. I'm saying process. You step out. Let the system carry the water. For a long beat, the room listened to the HVAC. Adrian closed the binder and set both palms on top of it, as if weighing it. 2 questions, he said. 1, if I recuse, do we still get this over the line in time for the quarter? Yes, Harper said. If procurement and the subcommittee move this week. 2, if I don't recuse and we disclose instead. We invite discovery requests with my name on the top line. She said, no drama, and we'll deserve them. Bianca reached forward, elegant fingers on air. Adrian, you hire outside counsel to keep you moving, not to put you in a straitjacket. The trust is remote. The letter is an accommodation we can scrub in clean language. Give me 48 hours and I'll bring back a version suitable for any. Regulator's nightstand. Harper stared at the edge of the table, then back at Adrian. This isn't about language. It's about who signs and who doesn't. Adrian exhaled, the sound of a gear settling. He uncapped a pen, signed a recusal memo, and slid it back across to Harper. She felt the smallest release in her chest. "Thank you," she said, and Adrian continued. Looking to Bianca, until this is done, Bianca will act as legal supervisor on the Northline transaction. All legal issues route through her shop. Harper, you'll continue to advise internally, but outside counsel has point. The release in Harper's chest hardened into a clean, cold stone. Bianca's smile returned, bright enough to light the glass. "We'll keep it tight," she said. "I'll coordinate with procurement." Harper's mouth was already moving before she'd rehearsed the sentence. If outside counsel supervises the legal work on a deal where the CEO is recused due to a connection, the appearance problem doesn't vanish, it moves. Riddle's policy vests conflicts oversight in independent hands. Outside counsel isn't independent if her compensation depends on closing before quarter end. Bianca's eyes flicked, amused. "We bill the same whether you sign Friday or next Friday." "That's not what the last 6 RFPs said," Harper replied. All of them had performance incentives tied to timetables. Adrian didn't raise a hand. He didn't have to. Authority shaped the air around him. "Both of you are right in the abstract. In practice, we need a deal, a record, and a clock that doesn't eat the quarter." He looked at Harper. "Draft the subcommittee charter, independent director chair, and a conflict disclosure for the board. Deliver by end of day." "Understood," she said. He turned to Bianca. "Scrub the side letter. No euphemisms. If there's a discount, it lives in the primary agreement or it doesn't exist. Send me a red line before close of business." "Of course," Bianca said. "You'll like the language." They stood. Chairs whispered against carpet. At the door, Bianca touched Adrian's sleeve, not long enough to be a touch, just long enough to be read. "I'll keep you out of the mud," she said softly. Harper pretended to find something in her bag. When the door shut, Harper stayed a moment with the skyline. It was easier to look at than the decisions she'd just watched stacked like glass. She gathered the signed memo, the side letter, the policy extracts, and the pen he'd used. Proof that a line had been drawn and that someone had already started to redraw it in pencil. Back at her desk, she typed fast enough that the cursor chased her. Board conflicts, subcommittee, charter, draft. 1 independent director chair. Procurement led. Internal audit liaison. Outside counsel may attend, may not supervise. All side terms must appear in the main agreement or be prohibited. Recusal of CEO from any approval. Communications memorialized outside his line of authority. She hit save and sent it to Adrian and the corporate secretary, with a subject line that didn't advertise stakes. Northline Conflict Subcommittee, Charter Opening, parenthesis draft, closing parenthesis. Her phone buzzed. Unknown, welcome to the varsity. Be just an initial. No need for a full name when you've already announced yourself in a room. Harper set the phone face down and opened the company policy again, tracing the sentence she'd quoted in the meeting. When in doubt, remove influence. Then decide. She underlined it with her finger, uselessly, on a screen. Across the building, Bianca stepped into an elevator and dialed procurement before the doors finished closing. "We'll keep the timeline," she said into the polished chrome. "I have point. On 42, Adrian stood alone and looked at the recusal memo on his desk, the ink not yet dry. He'd done the right thing, and he'd also done the thing that let him delegate the mess to someone who'd bring him a clean outcome. Whether those were the same thing would be a question for later. For now, the line was drawn and moving. Harper spent the afternoon with a red line and a headache. Bianca's scrubbed side letter came back in under 3 hours. Sleek language, neat margins, the legal equivalent of a tux. On page 2, the old rebate had become a volume optimization mechanism. The conduit entity absent from Northline's org chart was now an authorized distributor. The numbers were the same. Harper printed both versions and laid them side by side. Line for line, the sugar had changed. The calories had not. She drafted a memo as dry as chalk. Terminology aside, the effect is a contingent payment to a non-party. If routed back toward a related interest, it reads as a kickback. Recommend move all price terms into the master supply agreement or remove entirely. She took it to Margaret Lynn, controller, because numbers had a way of scaring people straight. Mechanism. Schmechanism, Margaret said, scanning the columns. If it affects unit cost, it belongs in the main contract or in the trash. Who's pushing this? Bianca, Harper said. Margaret's mouth tightened. Of course. I'll back you. Harper left with that small armor and sent her memo to the subcommittee, ceasing Bianca and procurement. The subject line was unglamorous. Northline pricing terms must be in main agreement. Within minutes, a calendar invite materialized. Northline pricing huddle to 6 p.m. attendees. Procurement, Margaret, Bianca. Optional, Harper. Optional, at 5:58. She walked in anyway. Procurement's director was already seated, sweating through his collar. Clock's ugly, he said by way of hello. If we miss this quarter, it's not just optics. Bianca smiled from the end of the table, immaculate as ever. Then let's not miss it. We've recharacterized the volume term in a way that is fully consistent with market practice. Counsel will be comfortable. In-house counsel is not, Harper said, taking a chair. Neither is controller. Margaret slid the papers forward. I'm not signing an approval that lets pricing live in a side letter. If there's a discount, it goes in the main agreement. We can negotiate a tiered schedule that avoids surprises. Bianca tipped her head, amused and unamused. The distributor arrangement is a Northline quirk. It keeps their internal books tidy. It makes ours messy, Harper said. And if the distributor's ownership overlaps with any related party, pure speculation, Bianca cut in. We have no evidence of that. We didn't have evidence of the trust chain yesterday either until we looked. Harper said. The room thinned to silence. Procurement darted between faces like a shuttlecock. Here's a compromise, Bianca said at last. We attach a short addendum to the master, cross-referencing the distributor agreement. Everyone gets what they need. Everyone but the regulator, Harper said. And the jury? Bianca's smile went fractional. You have a flair for theatre, Ms. Nguyen. I have a memory, Harper said, of what happens when companies pretend side doors are front doors. Margaret leaned in, calm. Put the tiers in the main. Remove the distributor payment, or we pause. That's the company's position. Bianca's gaze moved past them to the glass, where the skyline blinked like an alibi. I'll take it back to Northline, she said smoothly. But if they walk, we all explain the miss. The meeting ended without a handshake. Back at her desk, Harper's screen lit with a Slack ping from a channel she didn't recognize. #Northline-deal-ops. The message came from procurement tops. Need legal's blessing to circulate the final letter per outside counsel. We're at T-24. Harper typed. Do not circulate. Legal does not bless side pricing. Use master only. Then forwarded the thread to Margaret and the subcommittee. She added a 2-sentence explicable for the corporate secretary, attaching thread for record. Recommend legal hold on all Northline comes until contract architecture is resolved. Her email to Adrian was factual. No adjectives. We're insisting all price terms live in the master. Outside counsel proposes a cross-ref scheme. Controller supports main. We may slip 24 to 48 hours. She hovered, then hit send. 10 minutes later, her phone vibrated with an internal call she didn't expect. CFO's office. She let it roll to voicemail. The transcript arrived instantly. Harper heard you're slowing Northline on legal niceties. We need the quarter. Call me. She typed a single line back through email, CCing Margaret and Usher in legal. Per conflicts protocol. Please direct Northline legal architecture questions to the subcommittee and general counsel. Then she muted her phone at 8:21 p.m. An email hit her personal inbox from a burner address, screens_not_opinions@proton.me. No greeting. An image attachment. She opened it and felt the strange calm of anger done right. A screenshot of a private Slack channel with the logo of Bianca's firm in the corner. A message from B. Sloan at 3:12 p.m. If Northline stalls, frame this as in-house risk aversion. Dylan-friendly counsel narrative plays well when we need to move the bottleneck. Get procurement to push the urgency. Harper stared at it. The author field, the timestamp, the channel members half blurred but legible. It could be faked anything, could be, but the cadence was Bianca's, and the tactic was ancient dot. She forwarded the screenshot to Usher Road General Counsel with a short line, received anonymously. Request header, analysis, authenticity check. If real, recommend legal hold notice across Northline channels. Usher replied in 5 minutes, on it. Do not circulate further. Use secure drive for upload. Harper complied, uploaded, and sat back. At 8:49, Adrian called. She almost didn't pick up. She did. I saw your note, he said. You may slip 48. If Northline insists on side terms, Harper said. If they accept main only, we can still make the week. And the screenshot could be real, could be theater. Usher's checking the headers. Either way, the dynamic is exactly what you'd expect when you ask a fox to audit the henhouse. He didn't flinch at the metaphor. Do we need outside independent review for optics? We need clean architecture and a record. If you want optics, appoint an independent director chair for the subcommittee and minute every decision. Done, he said. Harper Bianca has delivered under pressure before. So have airbags, she said. I'm still glad I have a seatbelt, a beat. The quiet had texture. Keep going, he said. Margaret's with you. I'll stay recused. She ended the call and opened a new document. Legal hold notice Northline. The body was boilerplate by design. Preserve all drafts, chats, emails, and approvals relating to Northline, including any side agreements or distributor arrangements. She routed it to Usher for issuance. By the time she shut her laptop, the city had gone from neon to navy. She cleaned her desk until the last thing left was the recusal memo from the morning, the ink now dry. A line drawn. Another one trying to move. Her phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. Optional doesn't mean absent. Sit the next one out. B. Harper took a photo of the screen, dropped it in the secure drive, and blocked the number. Then she wrote one sentence on a sticky note and stuck it to the bottom of her monitor for the morning. Main contract or no deal. On the 42nd floor, Bianca's office lamp cut a white triangle into the dark. She dictated a message into her phone in the careful tone of someone rehearsing a future defense. Per client urgency, we proposed accepted industry mechanisms. In-house counsel objected on phrasing. We are reworking. She stopped the recording, saved it to a folder called Narratives, and smiled at a skyline that never asked questions. Across the building, Adrian set his phone face down and looked at the recusal memo again. It felt heavier than it had at noon. He reminded himself why people wrote rules, to be stronger than instinct. Then he turned out the light and chose, again, to let the rule hold. By morning, Asher Rowe had an answer. Harper could use in a courtroom. Header analysis is clean, the general. Counsel said in legal's windowless war room. The Slack shot came. From a captured desktop session inside Sloan and Heller at 3:12 p.m., routed through their firm VPN. Channel membership matches their Northline team. It's authentic. Harper let the relief register only as a slower exhale. Then I'll treat it as evidence, not gossip. Usher nodded. I've issued the legal hold, Northline under my signature. Preservation is now mandatory. Emails, chats, drafts, side letters, distributor documents. I've also set up a read-only clean drive mirrored into legal custody. Upload anything volatile there. No one edits originals. Who's on the hold? Harper asked. Procurement, controller, CEO's office. And Usher's mouth flattened outside counsel via their GC. I used language even a hostile judge would respect. Harper cracked a half smile. Your favorite kind. Usher slid over a single sheet. You asked for a neutral table. Build your issue list on this template. No adjectives, only citations. If they try to frame you as deal unfriendly, the list will be your shield. By 10:30, Harper had an organized battlefield, a 3-column grid labeled issue, source, consequence, related party chain, CEO trust, gives Harbor point, gives Northline board, conflicts policy section, 4.2. Delaware cases, beam and seat recusal, required to avoid entire fairness, standard side letter, pricing routed via authorized distributor, draft side, letter V1, V2. Bianca red lines anti-kickback risk. Undisclosed price terms. Slack counsel, Slack. Frame in-house as deal-friendly. Authenticated header report, legal interference with internal legal independence timeline pressure. Procurement email thread. Governance risk if controls bent to meet Quartershi shipped the grid to the conflicts subcommittee. Independent director chair, now named CCD, Margaret, Lynn, and Usher. 20 minutes later. Her calendar lit with the meeting every lawyer both dreads and lives for. Northline fact, brief, decision, attendees, subcommittee chair, plus 2 directors. Procurement, controller, Bianca Sloan, Harper Nguyen. Location, boardroom, see fact only, the invite said. It never meant what people thought it meant. Boardroom C had colder air than the others. As if someone had told facilities, governance required oxygen debt. Adrian was not in the room. Recusal had teeth today. The independent director chair, a retired audit partner named Victor Hale, opened his notebook to a blank page and clicked a fountain pen. "Ms. Nguyen," he said, "walk us through your table." Harper kept 2 nouns and verbs. She diagrammed the trust chain. She stacked versions of the side letter V1 with rebate V2 with volume optimization mechanism. She described, without commentary, Usher's header findings and the provenance of the Slack screenshot. She closed with a sentence from policy. No flourish. When in doubt, remove influence. Then decide. Victor made a neat tick in his book. Mies. Sloan. Bianca slid a deck onto the table that looked like a luxury brochure. Sleek charts. Clean blue borders. Northline structure includes a distributor, she said evenly. Many do. The price accommodation sits there to align incentives. We propose cross-referencing the distributor document in the master transparent and efficient. She didn't look at Harper as she added, "We of course support recusal and disclosure where appropriate. Why not put all pricing in the master?" Victor asked. "Northline's internal accounting," Bianca said sweetly. "We don't ask vendors to rewrite their books." Margaret spoke up, voice calm. "We do when their books compromise ours." A beat. Procurement's director looked like a man wishing the floor were a trapdoor. "Timing, folks," he said. "I've got 3 plants to keep fed. If we slip, it's not just optics." Victor's pen hovered. "Ms. Nguyen, if we adopt Ms. Sloan's cross-reference, do we create legal risk?" "Yes," Harper said. "Undisclosed price terms plus an atypical conduit equals a story a regulator can sell to a jury. If there is a discount, put it in the master. If not, remove it." "Market practice," Bianca began. "Doesn't immunize you," Harper finished, still looking at Victor. "It just means more people will be surprised when the subpoena lands." The other director excusafit in his chair. "Couldn't we approve contingent on Northline moving the term into the master within, say, 10 days? Plants get what they need. Lego gets clean ink." Bianca turned the smile up a lumen. "That's a pragmatic solution." Harper didn't flinch. "The minute you sign with an off-book term in orbit, you've blessed the architecture. 10 days become 10 months. If Northline refuses to move the pricing into the master, we walk or we renegotiate. Silence. The kind with current in it." Victor closed his notebook. "Thank you. Committee will confer." They stepped to the window, all 3 heads close, voices low. Through the glass, the city ran its indifferent errands. Procurement stared at his phone. Bianca arranged her pen parallel to her folder, the way people arrange things when they can't arrange the room. Harper fixed her eyes on a screwhead in the table edge and counted to 5 twice. Victor returned. "We're prepared to approve conditionally. No side pricing. All economic terms in the master, distributor references limited to logistics. If Northline refuses, we pause and consider alternatives. Ms. Sloan. You will communicate this. Ms. Nguyen, Controller, you will review any new draft jointly." "Understood." Bianca's smile had edges now. "Understood." Meeting adjourned. Chairs scraped. People filed. Harper collected her issue list and the 2 side letters, slid them into a folder stamped legal hold. At the door, Bianca's voice found her shoulder. "Congratulations," Bianca murmured. "You've taught a committee to fear their own shadows. Watch how many deals die in this building when you're done." Harper looked at her without heat. If they die of sunlight, they needed to. Sunlight burns, Bianca said. Ask any plant kept under fluorescence. She walked away before Harper could bother to respond. Back at her desk, the blowback arrived on cue. A Slack DM from procurement ops. Legal just blew up our quarter to look principled. A reply she wasn't meant to be copied on. In-house lawyer playing star. Should have let Bianca run point. She moved them both to the clean drive and closed the chat window. A ping from Usher replaced the bile. Sec asks usually start with silence. Use it. Also board wants a one-pager after the meeting. What we decided and why. On it, Harper typed. She wrote like a stenographer. Decision, conditional approval. Rationale, consolidate price terms. Eliminate distributor payment. Rebut, related party optics. Controls, joint legal controller review. Recusal maintained. No adjectives, just verbs. She sent it to Victor. Margaret, Asher. Then she stood, stretched the ache out of her neck, and refilled her water from the kitchen tap that always ran a little too cold in the hall. An analyst she barely knew glanced up and, for the first time since this started, didn't look away. Hey, he said. Saw the town hall clip yesterday. Thanks for, he searched for a word that wouldn't make a scene. Rules are the easy part, Harper said. Keeping them is the work. When she returned, a new email sat in her inbox from corporate secretary, subcommittee minutes draft attached. Please confirm accuracy of legal summary. She scanned. It was fair. It was clean. It would read well later if later turned into subpoenas. Her phone buzzed once more. Unknown, cute table. Shame if someone leaked how you got it. She screenshotted, filed it, blocked the number. Then she turned the sticky note at the base of her monitor so it faced her again. The ink a little smudged from her thumb. Main contract or no deal. The line she'd drawn had survived a meeting. The next test would be whether it survived the week. The article hit just before lunch. Small site. Big appetite. Insiders say in-house lawyer stalls. Quarter-saving deal at Riddle. A subhead bragged about exclusive memos, then quoted a phrase only 3 documents contained. Undisclosed price terms routed via distributor. Harper read it twice. Not because she doubted it, but because disbelief was a reflex you had to train out of yourself. She forwarded the link to Usher Rowe with a single line. Language lifted from my memo. Legal hold in place. We need to confirm the path. Already on it, Usher replied, then added, Board wants a status at 3. Fact only. Within 10 minutes. Victor Hell, the independent director chair, pinged Harper and Usher into a short meeting. 2 questions, he said without warming up. Did we lose control of our documents? And does this change the subcommittee's decision? Usher's tone could have cut glass. We did not bless any external distribution. Legal hold is active. We will establish a chain. She paused just long enough for emphasis. And decisions don't change because someone leaks. Victor nodded once. Build me a record. Legal converted a small conference room into a clean room. No printers, taped webcams, a quarantine switch humming like an aquarium. Naomi Park from security engineering joined with a Pelican case full of write blockers and a laptop that booted into a forensics image like a camera clicks into. Focus. First step, Naomi said. Audit read events on the clean drive and any local copies. Second, Pull Okta and Box activity for the time window. Third, look for external exfile uploads to personal cloud. Email forwards, message exports. Harper provided the short list of documents that contained the exact leaked phrasing. Naomi's fingers worked quietly. Rows of access logs scrolled by. Usernames, IPs. Patterns emerged. Here, she said, tapping the screen. At 9:43 p.m. yesterday. A PDF export of Northline pricing terms memo from a workstation on floor 25, room 25C, user LHAR T-Temp. 2 minutes later, same user downloads the export to local. At 9:51, a browser session opens to drop files. IO consumer grade file share. Harper frowned. Who's LART temp? Usher checked a roster. Lydia Hart, temp legal assistant via Sloan and Heller. Onboarded last week to help collate deal files. Naomi kept going. IP for the exports is our internal Wi-Fi. But look at 10:07 p.m. The same user logs in again. This time through VPN EXT03. That's an external VPN profile provisioned for outside Counsel. Source IP resolves to Sloan and Heller's Manhattan range. Walk me through it in English, Usher said. Someone with Lydia's temp account exported Harper's memo after hours, pulled it locally, then relogged through the law firm's VPN to cover tracks and used a consumer tool to stage a shareable link. She looked up. It's not proof of intent yet, but it's direction. Harper's mouth went dry, then settled. We need the workstation. Naomi nodded. I'll image it before anyone breathes on it. They found Lydia's desk empty. A neat rectangle of absence, a clean mousepad, a mug turned upside down to dry. Her laptop was docked, lid down. Naomi checked the power light, shook her head at a colleague who reached for the trackpad, and began the slow ritual photograph ports and stickers. Label cables, remove the drive, slot it into a right. Start the image. Usher dialed HR. Freeze her badge, she said. Place her on administrative leave, pending an interview under Counsel. Do not contact her directly. All comes through legal. Copy, HR said, too quickly. News traveled faster than instructions. Back in the clean room, Naomi skimmed the disk image. User profile. Recent files. Our memo export to subcommittee drafts. One folder titled Press Kit with a handful of JPG screenshots of headlines about Dylan-friendly lawyers from other companies. Browser history scrubbed, though not expertly. Any email? Harper asked. Webmail Gmail cleared, Naomi said. But cache still holds string fragments. She typed, coaxed, exhaled. Here, a draft addressed to Curtis at ledgerwire.com, the byline from the leak. Subject, quarter at risk. Body, one sentence and a link to drop files, IO/. Followed by your move, autosave caught it before it was sent or deleted. Usher's pen stopped. Chain of custody screenshot, then export headers. Do not open the link. Already did the first, Naomi said. Won't do the second. Harper felt something like anger, but cleaner. So Bianca's temp accessed our memo, routed through her firm's VPN, staged a link, and drafted to the reporter who published. Lydia is our direct actor. The question is whether she was freelancing or directed. Usher nodded. We interview, and we request Sloan and Heller preserve logs and communications with Lydia under our legal hold. And Bianca? Harper asked. Usher's expression didn't change. We'll invite Ms. Sloane to join the interview. At 3 o'clock, the board's secure video tile filled with faces. Victor led. Status. Usher laid out the facts. The leak, the phrasing, the clean room, the logs, the temp, the draft to the reporter. No adjectives. No speculation. Victor turned to procurement. Does this affect operations? We can still make the week if Northline agrees to put pricing in the master, the director said, damp with hope. And Northline? Awaiting their response, Bianca said from her square, expression smooth as granite. They're considering our request. Victor returned to legal. Next steps. Image complete, Naomi said. Interview temp assistant. Request preservation from outside counsel. Maintain the legal hold. And if Northline declines to move pricing pause, per yesterday's decision, Bianca's smile warmed by a degree. We should be careful not to assume intent. Temps make mistakes. Screenshots travel. I trust we will be fair. Harper held the camera's eye. Fair and documented, she said. Victor closed the session with a line that sounded like a stamp hitting paper. Proceed. They scheduled the interview for the next morning. That night, Harper stayed late to draft interview outlines, one for Lydia, one for Bianca. The questions were short, the kind you could only answer with facts. On her way out, she noticed an interoffice envelope sitting on her chair, no label, just her name written in block letters. Inside, a glossy printout of the leaked article and a post-it in neat blue handwriting. Deals die in committee rooms. Careers die with them. Choose wisely. She photographed it without touching the paper and dropped the image in the secure drive. Then she asked security to pull camera footage for the last hour. Her phone buzzed. Northstar Usher's handle. Don't walk to the garage alone. I'll send someone. I'm fine, Harper typed. And, after a beat, added, but yes. Thank you, in the lobby. A guard in a navy blazer fell in step with her. He didn't talk. She didn't either. At the curb, the city breathed like nothing had happened. Morning brought two surprises. First, a terse email from Sloane and Heller's general counsel. We will preserve documents, but will not produce internal communications, absent subpoena or court order. Second, HR's note. Lydia Hart did not report to work. Her badge had been used at 7:08 a.m. to enter the building, then never used again. Naomi checked the logs. Badge entry at street turnstile. Yes, she said. No elevator ping. No workstation wake. But her eyes narrowed. A connection from our guest Wi-Fi to Gmail at 7:12 a.m. MAC address registered yesterday to a device Lydia used to connect for training. Where'd it go after? Usher asked. Off the network, Naomi said. And off the map. Harper looked at the empty chair in the interview room, at the list of questions that would have to wait, and felt the quiet move like a front through the building. Then we start with the person who's here, she said. She turned to the door, where Bianca Sloane waited with a face that belonged on a magazine and a patience that belonged in a deposition. Ms. Sloane, Harper said, holding the recorder up so the red light caught the room. Thank you for coming. Let's begin. They sat at the small table like chess pieces set too close together. Harper, Usher, Naomi along the wall, and Bianca Sloane across from the recorder's red dot. The room's white noise unit masked the hum of the corridor. A sign on the door read, "Conference repair, do not enter," which was not true and therefore useful. Usher began. This is an internal interview under Counsel. Participants are identified for the record. Ms. Sloan, you are here voluntarily. You may stop at any time. We are recording. Bianca folded her hands, immaculate. Understood. Usher nodded to Harper. Fact examiner. Harper opened a thin folder. Topic 1. Side letter drafting. On Northline V1, the term reads rebate. In V2, volume optimization mechanism. Track changes, show your user stamp on both edits. Did you or your team draft those revisions? Bianca didn't blink. We drafted language consistent with market practice. Did you choose to move price consideration outside the master into a distributor document? That structure was proposed by the vendor. Did you advise accepting it? We advised options, Bianca said, smiling like the word were neutral. Harper flipped a page. Topic 2. Communications regarding internal counsel. At 3:12 p.m. yesterday, a message from your Slack account in your firm's Northline channel reads, if Northline stalls, frame this as in-house risk aversion. Dylan-friendly counsel narrative plays well when we need to move the bottleneck. Did you write that? Bianca adjusted the cuff of her jacket. Our internal brainstorming is privileged. We're under preservation, not production. Usher's voice stayed even. Privilege belongs to the client. The client is asking a question. Bianca's smile cooled. Then the client is playing discovery games without a subpoena. Harper didn't raise her voice. Did you write it? A beat. We discussed messaging contingencies, Bianca said, as any crisis-capable counsel does. Topic 3. Leak path. Harper slid a printed log. Summary forward. Access timestamps. IP addresses. User IDs. A temp assistant your firm seconded to us exported my memo after hours, reconnected through your firm VPN, and drafted an email to the reporter who later published phrases unique to that memo. We have a preserved disk image. Temps make mistakes, Bianca said. Temps don't provision external VPN profiles, Naomi said from the wall. Firms do. Bianca held Naomi's gaze as though it were a camera lens. We don't instruct temps to leak client material. Did anyone on your team ask Lydia Hart to share internal documents? Harper asked. No. Did anyone on your team message or email Curtis from Ledgerwire about Riddle? Bianca's chin lifted by a millimeter. Not to my knowledge. Usher clicked her pen once. A sound like a period. We'll need your firm to preserve Slack, email, device, and VPN logs for your Northline team and Ms. Hart. Confirm in writing today. Our general counsel has already responded, Bianca said smoothly. We will preserve. We will not produce absent legal process. That's your letter, Usher said. I'm asking for your answer. You have it, Bianca said. Still smiling, Harper closed the folder. Last topic, independence. Riddle's conflicts policy requires independent legal oversight where the CEO is recused. You ask to have point on legal. Your comp includes a success fee component tied to timetable. Do you understand why that is unacceptable? Bianca looked past Harper to the recorder, choosing her verb like a jewel. I disagree with your framing. We are aligned to the company's need to move efficiently. Efficiency is not the enemy of integrity, and neither is gravity the enemy of flight, Harper said. It's just what brings things down when people pretend it isn't there. Usher stopped the recording. Thank you, Ms. Sloan. Legal will follow up. Bianca stood without haste. At the door, she paused. Friendly advice, Ms. Nguyen. Committees love purists. Scintilled a quarter misses. Then they remember who saved their numbers. Then let them remember who saved their company, Harper said. The latch caught. The white noise returned to being the loudest thing in the room. In the clean room, Naomi pushed the disk image to a large display. Here's what we can prove today. She tapped the timeline. Export gives local save, gives law firm VPN, gives consumer file share, gives unsent draft to the reporter. We also have browser artifacts of a Google search on this machine for how to send tips safely, she added. The irony writes itself. Where is Lydia? Harper asked. Badge in, then nothing, Naomi said. We're checking external cameras. If she left by the loading dock without badging out, our internal logs won't show it. Usher rubbed at one temple. Sloane's GC is playing hardball. We can subpoena if we must, but that's not today. Harper breathed once. We have enough to take action that protects the process. Not punishment, controls. Usher nodded. Drafted. Harper wrote a one-page outside counsel. Protocol like she was laying track across a ravine. Outside counsel may advise. Not supervise, where Riddle executive officers are recused. All economic terms must reside in the master agreement. Side documents limited to logistics. No cross-refs that carry price. Any seconded personnel report to legal, not to outside counsel. No external VPN profiles on Riddle machines. Violations trigger descoping and fee review. Margaret read it, marked a single comma, and signed. Victor, the independent director, countersigned for the subcommittee. Effective immediately, Usher took the page. I'll send to Bianca's GC. If they balk, we descope their mandate. Descope, Naomi echoed, pleased. A beautiful, quiet verb. By late afternoon, Northline responded through their business team, not legal. We can move pricing tiers into the master if the distributor remains our internal channel. It was the yes that mattered, wrapped around a compromise no one minded. Margaret summarized in one line. We can work with that. Harper replied with 3 red lines. Pricing table inside the master. Distributor referenced for fulfillment only. A clause requiring representations about ownership, no related parties, direct or indirect. She added a right to audit. Then she sent the draft to the subcommittee with the same subject she had been using since day one. Northline made an agreement, pricing Rev A, and felt a sliver of satisfaction at the ordinariness of it. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You're not a crusader. You're a bottleneck. Bottlenecks get replaced. B. She forwarded it to the secure drive, blocked the number, and wrote a single note to self. Keep everything. Speak less. At 6:10, Adrian stepped into the clean room, recusal still in force, but curiosity unavoidable. He scanned the protocol on the table, the red lines on the screen. The photo of Lydia's empty chair clipped to the chain of custody form. You've built a bridge, he said. It holds. It will, Harper said. If we make everyone walk across it. He nodded, eyes on the protocol. We will. He turned to leave, then hesitated. Bianca. Preserving, not cooperating, Usher said. For now. He looked like a man filing that under later. Good work. He said 2 words that didn't try to be more than they were and left. Harper exhaled through her nose. Naomi cracked her knuckles. Usher hit send on the protocol with a cover note that read like a statute. The whiteboard in the clean room now had 2 clean columns, facts and controls. Under facts, leak path, side letter edits, Slack capture. Under controls, protocol issued, pricing in master. Recusal maintained. Harper added a third header in dry erase ink. Next, interview Lydia if found. Northline signed, master fee, review, out. Outside counsel if non-compliant. Whistleblower language for tanks, she capped the marker. Lines on the record, she said to no one in particular. Make them permanent, Usher said. Etch them into the walls, Naomi added. Harper didn't smile, not exactly. She turned back to the screen and made the next red line cleaner. Outside, the city kept its own secrets. Inside, for once, the room didn't. By morning, the outside counsel protocol had done what rules do when they're clear. It rearranged the furniture. Procurement routes shifted. The distributor clause moved into logistics where it belonged. Northline's negotiator, suddenly practical, returned a clean draft with pricing in the master and a one-line concession wheel certifying no related party ownership. Margaret underlined the sentence like it was interest paid. What hadn't moved was Bianca Sloan, her firm preserved. It did not produce. Lydia Hart stayed missing, badge cold. Inbox quiet. Harper was building the next memo when her phone lit with an internal extension she'd learned to pick up on the first ring. Come by, Adrian said. Now his office was glass and winter light. He'd taken off his jacket the way some people remove armor deliberately. I'm going to disclose, he said. Before she sat. Bianca and I dated. Years ago. Not during Northline. Not during my tenure here. It's over. But it exists. And if she decides to make it loud, I'd rather it be old news. Harper kept her voice even. Disclosure strengthens the record. It does not weaken your recusal. He nodded once. Draft what we need. A board note, a conflicts addendum in the minutes, and a statement to HR so they can answer if asked. There's a cost, Harper said. You'll be a headline for 48 hours in rooms that love gossip. There's a bigger cost if I'm a surprise, he said. I don't like surprises. He waited, like he always did, for her to tell him what the rule required. She told him, recusal remains. Your office does not touch the Northline file. The board receives your disclosure today. We minute it. HR logs it. Then we get back to work. Good, he said. One more thing. If Sloan refuses the protocol, we descope. We have other firms. There was no victory in it, only decision. Harper left with a short list and a longer exhale. The board disclosure took half a page and 3 anchors. Prior personal relationship ended. No current financial or supervisory tie, recusal maintained. Victor Hale acknowledged with a line that read like a stamp. Received and entered into the minutes.hrs log was drier. Conflict history disclosed by CEO. No current nexus. Recusal in effect. No supervisory overlap with disclosing counsel. They filed it where good governance goes somewhere a subpoena could find. Corp. Comes drafted 2 sentences in case a reporter sniffed the gossip as part of our commitment to transparency. Our CEO disclosed a prior relationship with an external attorney not engaged on this matter. He remains recused. We have robust protocols to ensure independent oversight. It was anesthesia in prose form. Harper approved it with one change. Remove the phrase not engaged on this matter. Bianca's firm had been engaged. The sentence would invite a correction. Combs thanked her for saving them from their own reflex. At 11:40, Elaine Park called Adrian on speaker, while Harper stood 3 feet from the door. Proud of the choice, the chair said. Keep the recusal tight. Deliver the deal clean. Then forget the noise. That's the plan, Adrian said. By early afternoon, Northline signed the master agreement with every price term in its chest-no side arteries hiding under a blazer. The right to audit clause stayed in, as did the certification about related parties. Margaret initialed each page with a small, satisfied checkmark and handed the packet to Harper. This one reads, "In daylight," Margaret said. "Good," Harper said. "We're going to need light." The one glow they didn't want arrived an hour later. A push alert from a trade blog, hinting at a former relationship between a Fortune 500 CEO and a glamorous attorney now embroiled in a procurement drama. No names. Just bait. A minute after, Harper watched the irony play out in real time. Corp Comes posted the pre-cleared transparency statement. The story died in the comments, not because anyone was noble, but because everyone was bored. Bianca texted Adrian anyway. "You didn't have to do that." Adrian did not reply. He forwarded the screenshot to Asher for the file and blocked the number. The last open window was Sloan and Hella's non-cooperation. Asher sent the protocol again with a sentence that made lawyers read twice. Failure to comply will be deemed grounds for descoping and fee review under Section 8B of the engagement. A half-hour later, the firm proposed a call. They sounded measured. They were not. They wanted exceptions, soft edges, comfort language. "No," Asher said, 5 ways in 10 minutes. "We're not litigating adjectives. You advise. You don't supervise. You don't provision VPN profiles on our machines. Your seconded staff reports to us. Confirm in writing by close of business." Silence. Then a short email. "We confirm." It was as graceful as a curtsy with a bruised knee. Harper printed it and paper-clipped it to the protocol. Paper still mattered when people forgot. At 5:12. Security pinged Naomi. Lydia Hart had used her badge again this time to exit through the street turnstile. No entry, just an exit. The kind that says, "I'm done." Cameras showed a woman in a dark coat with a tote bag that looked heavier than yesterday. A rideshare picked her up. Plate snapped. Company logged. Asher sent a formal letter to Lydia's personal email via Counsel. "You were placed on administrative leave. Preserve all communications and devices. Interviews will proceed when you are available. Failure to preserve is a policy violation with consequences. Neutral, sharp. Will she come back?" Naomi asked. "Maybe," Asher said. "Maybe not. Either way, the record will outlast the people." Harper looked at the protocol on the table, at the signed master on the tray, at the board minute on her screen. For the first time in a week, the room's air felt less like something to fight. Adrian knocked once and stepped in. Recusal still in effect. He kept his distance from the documents like a man respecting a fence he'd built himself. "Board's good," he said. "Plants will get fed. Procurement is bruised but breathing." "How are you?" "Functional," Harper said. "High praise," he said, a half smile. He hesitated, then added, "I didn't disclose for optics." "I know," she said. "You did it so the rule would be stronger than you." "That's the only kind that works." He nodded. "There's a clean dinner on my calendar tonight that isn't a test." If your Harper shook her head before he finished. "Let's keep the fences up while we pour the concrete. Then we can talk about gates." "Fair," he said. Keep me posted on the firm. We will. If they flex, we cut. He left with the carefulness of a person learning to live inside his own constraints. Harper watched the glass door close and felt the odd, quiet pride of building something that held even when no one was looking. Her phone buzzed with North Star. Sec acknowledged receipt of the latest controls and signed Master. Thank you. No questions yet. She typed back, "We'll keep building," before she shut down. An interoffice envelope appeared in her in-tray like a magician's card. No sender. Just a photo inside Adrian and Bianca at a charity gala from years ago. His hand at the small of her back, the kind of picture glossy magazines collect. Across the bottom, in blue pen, "Truth is a trick of angle. Change the angle." No signature. Harper slipped the photo into a plastic sleeve, logged it, and added it to the secure box. Evidence, not theater, on the whiteboard in the clean room. Someone had left 3 headers: facts, controls. Next, she uncapped a pen and wrote under. Next, Disco path drafted temp, vendor whistleblower, Closecure procurement training. Then she wrote one more line, smaller, in the corner where only people who looked would see. Keep the rules stronger than the room. The sec's reply came at 9:06 a.m. Not fireworks. Just a paragraph with teeth. Please provide. I final executed master agreement with pricing schedule. To timeline of remedial controls. 3 outside counsel engagement terms and any changes thereto. For a description of any suspected exfiltration of company documents, including preservation steps. Usher forwarded it to Harper with a subject that read like a shrug. We knew this was coming. Harper carved the request into tasks. Naomi owned the exfiltration packet. Margaret compiled the pricing schedule and signature pages. Usher would narrate the control timeline. Harper would draft the addendum, explaining the outside counsel protocol and the descope trigger that had snapped Sloan and Ella into line. By noon, the binder looked like a wall. Tabs, exhibits, dates that could not be argued with. Harper slid the finished packet to Usher. If they ask for interviews, she said, we'll want the independent director chair on the line. Victor's already blocked his calendar, Usher said. He likes clocks. What no one liked was the second envelope waiting on Harper's chair when she returned to her office manila. No sender, the blocky handwriting that had become a signature without a name. Inside, a color laser print of a tabloid-style mock-up CEO's secret past with star attorney, and a sticky note in that same neat blue ink. The rule won't save you when they decide they want a show. She photographed it gloved, bagged it, and sent the image to Naomi. Pull camera footage for the past hour. 27th floor hall. On it, Naomi replied. Angle's bad, but we'll try. Harper stared at the empty doorway where a person had stood and thought about proximity, how close Bianca had been to the room where decisions were made. How close a temp had come to becoming a footnote instead of a felony. She returned to the binder like it was a rail she could grip. At 2 p.m., Northline's business lead and in-house counsel joined a call with the conflicts subcommittee. Victor kept the agenda short. Thank you for moving pricing into the master, he said. You'll certify no related party ownership and accept right. Anything else? Northline's counsel was all nods and narrow sentences. We appreciate clarity. We'd like the distributor noted for fulfillment. Logistics only, Harper said. No economic terms outside the master. Understood, counsel said, and sounded like he meant it. Procurement exhaled audibly. Margaret initialed her copy again like it was a ritual. In the silence, after the hang-up, Victor looked into the camera as if it were a courtroom. "Record reflects a clean structure," he said. "Proceed." Bianca wasn't on the Kalusha, had limited attendance to those with decisions to make, but a minute later, Harper received a text from an unknown number that felt like a familiar glove. "Enjoy your little victory. We'll still be here when the quarter turns." She filed it, blocked the number, and didn't answer the invitation embedded in the sneer. At 4:30, Sloane and Heller asked for a reset meeting. Their general counsel joined, not Bianca. The firm confirmed compliance with the protocol, offered to swap out seconded personnel, and floated a fee reduction that was half apology, half insurance. Usher's smile didn't show in her voice. "We'll accept the personnel swap. Fee review is the board's purview. We'll place your mandate under limited scope while we evaluate. Produce a list of who touched the Northline file within your shop. Preserve. We'll be in touch after the call." Harper looked at Usher. "We cut them later. Or they cut themselves by starving," Usher said. "Either way, the conflict is caged." Naomi knocked, laptop tucked under her arm. Cameras caught a reflection chrome edge of a cart and part of a hand dropping the envelope on your chair. "The cart belongs to Night Owl Services contract cleaners. The hands wearing night. We can pull the vendor roster. Bianca's firm could have routed cash through a cleaning contractor," Harper said. "Or we could be chasing shadows. Either way," Usher said. "We add vendor access to the procurement training deck." Harper wrote it on the whiteboard under "Next, vendor access controls, dash after dash hours." That evening, Elaine Park convened a shortboard call. Victor summarized. "Signed master, protocol in force, sec request satisfied. Firm under limited scope, leak under internal investigation." Elaine listened like a metronome. "2 directives," she said finally. "First, finalize the internal ethics charter Harper drafted, no related party fog. No side letters that say she, whistleblower, SLA with a clock. Second, bring me an orderly disengagement plan for Sloane and Heller if they twitch." "Understood," Usher said. "We'll keep it boring." "Good," Elaine said. "Boring earned you this day." Harper left at a reasonable hour for the first time in a week. In the lobby, Adrian stood by the revolving doors with his coat over his shoulder and the posture of a man who had decided what story he wanted to live inside. He didn't reach for her. He didn't even step closer. "Plants are fed. Quarters intact. You did what the rule required." "We did," Harper said. Together, he nodded at the word like it was a fragile thing you shouldn't set down too quickly. "Dinner still on range." She smiled without adding sugar. "When the concrete cures, then we'll learn patience," he said. They went in different directions, like people who knew where their boundaries were. On the way home, Harper's phone buzzed once more. Northstar Sec acknowledged receipt. "Thank you, materials sufficient for now. No interviews requested yet." She put the phone face down and let the city be loud without needing to talk. Back at her apartment, she pinned the sticky note from earlier, the one she'd written to herself, to a corkboard above her desk. "Keep the rule stronger than the room beneath it." She added a second line, small but legible, and stronger than us. The ethics charter launched on a Tuesday at 9 a.m. It wasn't a glossy PDF buried on a portal that no one opened. It was a pinned post in Slack, a short page in the employee handbook, and a switch in procurement that refused to root illegal shapes. It had verbs instead of slogans. Disclose related parties. Disclose, when in doubt, document it. Consolidate. Economics in the mastano-side arteries. Preserve communications when a hold lands no exceptions. Protect reporters. Clock retaliation like a heart monitor. People screenshotted the list because it fit on one screen. Margaret held a lunch and learn where she drew price tiers on a whiteboard and said, "If it changes the number you pay, it lives in the big contract." The room laughed in that relieved way humans do when the complicated thing is finally described in a sentence. The same day, Corp comes quietly revised the onboarding deck. Photos of smiling people were replaced by a one-page flowchart that started with, "Is there a conflict?" and ended with, "If yes, here's the number to call." It was ugly and perfect. Sloane and Hella remained on limited scope, starved of influence, if not yet of fees. Bianca went dark publicly. Privately, she hired a crisis PR shop that suggested the sentence, "We defer to our clients' internal protocols." She said it once on a call and tasted ashes. The crisis shop took its money, wrote a memo called Angle Management, and waited for a fresh client. Lydia Hart resurfaced through Counsel with a statement that was part apology, part myth. She claimed overzealousness, denied direction, promised cooperation. Asha scheduled an interview for the following week. Naomi prepared a packet that would make lying the most exhausting choice. The sec did not knock. They rarely do when you hand them an index and a light they can point at their own files if anyone asks why they didn't knock. The market twitched, yawned, then went back to its rituals. Harper kept her world small on purpose. She walked to work. She wrote training slides that didn't hate the reader. She ate lunch with Naomi and Margaret once a week in a break room with bad art and good coffee. She returned calls she could have ignored and deleted messages that deserved nothing. One evening, Adrian caught the elevator alone with her and did nothing a headline could misread. He pressed the lobby button and looked straight ahead. "New habit," he said. "What's that?" she asked the doors. "Choosing the boring thing that keeps working," he said. She smiled at the metal. "That's not boring. That's grown up." They walked out past the security desk and split in the middle of the revolving doors. Like a coin flipping and landing on its edge. Weeks gathered. The Northline supply chain behaved. Procurement stopped using the word workaround like a prayer. The whistleblower hotline picked up on 2 rings and recorded 3 small, fixable things in its first monther suspicious vendor form. A manager who thought recusal meant "let me know how it goes." A temp who tried to email herself a draft contract to finish at home. Each time, the clock started. Each time, someone felt seen and did not get burned. The envelope notes stopped. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe security just got better at catching them. Harper stopped checking her chair before she sat. On a Friday that felt like a Friday, Elaine Park visited the office. She stood by the clean room's whiteboard. Facts, controls, next, and touched the dry erase. Ink with a careful finger. "You've written something here that isn't. Just for this mess," she said. "We tried," Harper said. Elaine looked toward the glass. Toward a city that would always generate new tests. "It won't be enough forever. It's enough today. That's what rules are," Harper said. "They hold until better ones do." Elaine smiled like someone who'd spent decades hiring and firing and had learned to love realism. "Keep writing them," she said, and left. That night, Harper found herself at the small coffee shop across from the building, the hour when professionals pretend to be civilians. Adrian arrived 2 minutes late carrying 2 cups, both plain. He set one down, sat, and left a respectful amount of table between them. No gala photos tonight, he said. No envelopes. She said they sipped. The city hummed. A couple at the next table argued quietly about a rug. Somewhere, a siren went past without needing to stop here. Tell me a story that isn't work, he said. She thought for a second. When I was 12, my uncle taught me how to level a bookcase with a folded paper matchbook. Perfect is for cathedrals, he said. Houses need plumb and square, and a thing that won't wobble when you put your hand on it. Adrian nodded. We built a matchbook. For now, she said. Tomorrow somebody will move the floor, then we'll add another, he said. They didn't touch. They didn't promise more than they could keep. When they stood, he waited while she put on her coat. At the door, she said the only thing that mattered for the version of them that could exist in daylight. Concrete first, she said. Then gates, he answered. They stepped into opposite streams of foot traffic, swallowed by a city that had made peace with 1,000 stories like theirs unfinished, unruined, untelevised. Back upstairs, the whiteboard waited with one new line added in Naomi's blocky handwriting. Almost a joke and almost a prayer. If it's not in the master, it doesn't exist. Below it, in smaller letters that only someone standing close would see, Harper had written earlier that day, say the truth first, protect the people who say it, then get back to work.